generation protection within the kingdom of God against predators, sexual abuse, and the seriousness of that problem. Well, now we're in our second half, and I want to welcome a very dear friend who also has a program right here on WCNO every Sunday. Bryan Longworth, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you for welcoming. I guess you've been there for a while, but for quite a while there. But yeah, thank you for having me on.
Bryan, tell us a little bit about your ministry, and I know that you have a heart to see families changed and babies saved and dads saved and moms saved. Tell us a little bit about your ministry.
Yeah, so what we do is we do have a small church, and we are on WCNO every Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. So if you want to listen to the Lighthouse, we have a sermon typically from the previous week, and we bring that to you. We also have that on our website, covenanttabernacle.com, and our YouTube channel and our Facebook page as well. But we do focus heavily on protecting innocent human life, and definitely it sounds like I didn't listen to the previous call that you had on, but that's definitely a huge concern to protect from sexual exploitation. We also are looking to protect innocent human life, including innocent human life in the womb, and I'm actually the president of Personhood Florida, which is a statewide organization that is working to really restore the sanctity of human life, and the concept that's really a biblical concept called Imago Dei, that we are created in God's image, and because we are created in God's image, every single one of us has unique intrinsic worth that is over and above and supersedes anything that we can accomplish, anything that we can do, anything that we can bring to the table. Even someone that's not able to bring something to the table, their life is still valuable and still should be protected.
Well, Bryan, where are we with current laws, with current protection of children? What's happening in our nation and what's happening in our state?
Yeah, so it's interesting, the pro-life movement, many organizations really hinged their entire efforts on overturning Roe versus Wade, and many people thought, well, abortion will end when Roe versus Wade is overturned. But what we have seen, in Roe versus Wade was overturned in the summer of 2022. But when Roe versus Wade was overturned, the rights of preborn children were not restored to them. So the Supreme Court left it up to the states whether they would allow abortion or not, which was the case prior to Roe versus Wade. But prior to Roe versus Wade, there were only about 5 states that had legalized abortion. We have legal abortion in every state in this nation, although there's some states restrict it quite a bit, and some states, say, hey, we'll even pay you to come here and have an abortion. We'll even pay all of your transportation, like New York and California have done. So nationwide, it's interesting. Nationwide, we've actually seen an increase in the number of abortions that are being performed. Statewide, we do have some extra regulations and some extra limitations on abortion, and we actually do have what's known as a 6-week ban that's in place. And this means that abortions, if they're going to be done legally, need to be done within the first 6 weeks. However, there are exceptions for rape, incest, and also human trafficking that extend that out to 15 weeks. And then there are also exceptions that for not only the life of the mother, but also the health of the mother, that would extend it all the way to the moment of birth. And when you start talking about the health of the mother, you're getting into a lot of really gray area, and really there are cases where the abortionist himself or herself could actually make a determination that there's an emergency situation and that this woman needs to have an abortion to not only save her life but also save her health. And that's a very slippery slope. But we are seeing a reduction in the number of abortions happening. Now, when we see the reduction in the number of abortions happening in our state, we don't really 100% know what the real numbers are for abortion. And really this is true throughout the entire United States, because you have women that can go out of state. They could go, let's say, to New York or to California. California or New York would pay their way to get there and to have an abortion. There's also abortion pill mills that are operating in different states and also in different countries, where a woman can actually pick up the phone, place a phone call, and without a doctor's visit, without any type of, really, she can even, Abby Johnson even did this once, where she said she didn't have an ID, and they said, well, write your name on a piece of paper and hold it up to the camera. And she did, and they said, okay, that's your ID. And she gave them a date that put her far more pregnant, or far further along in her pregnancy, where then it's safe to actually take the abortion pill, and they prescribed the abortion pill to her anyway. And so abortion pills are coming in out of state and out of the country to women, and this is a huge problem. We really don't know exactly how many abortions are happening in the state of Florida.
So, what can we do, Bryan? You're talking about out of state, that there's basically an open door. Somebody wants an abortion and they don't meet the criteria. In our state, you're saying they can fly to New York or whatever. There's places that will pay all the costs, and then we have these pill mills.
Yes.
What is being done to stop those two, or close those two open doors? Or what can be done? I think to close the traveling to other states, the only thing that really could be done to close that would be a national human life amendment, or a president that would look at the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution that says no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness without due process, and also the 14th Amendment, and say, well, you know what, preborn children are persons. That was a critical part of the argument in Roe versus Wade, was whether a preborn child was a person or not. And really the Supreme Court didn't determine whether a preborn child was a person or not. But if a preborn child is a person and is counted to have had a personhood status, then what you would actually see is the legal protection of every innocent human life, even in the womb. And I know Mike Huckabee, when he was running for president, for a short period of time in 2016, he was running for president. And I saw him at a pastor's meeting in Orlando, and he was asked a question about this issue. And he said, what I would do is I would declare that preborn children are persons under the Constitution. I would forbid abortion, and if they want to impeach me over that, they would have to impeach me over that, because I believe that every innocent human life should be protected. So that's really, short of that, you would have to have a human life amendment that makes it perfectly clear that preborn children, that every human being, including, and really a lot of times we're trying to word the language so that it not only covers preborn children in the womb, but it's also covering human beings that are being created out of the womb, because scientists actually can create human beings by, they're using really the same methods that would be used, in a woman's body, but through extracting sperm and extracting eggs and then mixing them together where you have fertilization. They're creating human beings in laboratories for experimentation purposes. And then you also have the disabled, and you have seniors. So it's important that every human life, every innocent human life, is protected.
So we're working on this on a local level. We're also working on this on a state level, and it's important to also work on a federal level as well. So all of that really needs to happen to stop that. Now on the pill mills, really, we can have legislation that can cut down on that, and certainly the federal government could actually ban interstate commerce or interstate shipment of these abortion methods, and we really should. People that are listening should actually reach out to the White House, to President Trump, reach out to our state senators, reach out to our state not our state senators, but our U.S. senators and our U.S. representatives, and actually encourage them to prohibit the interstate travel of this abortifacient. This is not safe for women. There are a high percentage of the women that actually take these drugs that end up in the ER, and so it's not safe for women. It's especially to take this without any doctor oversight. So that's one thing. States can pass laws that can prohibit those drugs from coming in as well. Although it's difficult to regulate because how do you know whether they're actually coming in and whether they're actually complying? I think probably there could be some pressure put on the U.S. Postal Service and the other couriers, FedEx and UPS, to not distribute, not bring this into our state from other states. If there were state laws that were passed to prohibit this, that would also put the couriers at liable, where they had a fine if they allowed this to come in, then that could actually at least slow that down. I don't know that you're going to be able to stop it altogether, and really ultimately we need heart change. We need pastors preaching the truth on this issue, and one of the things that is sadly true is that about 2/3 of all abortions happen to women who regularly attend church, or who are at least profess to be Christians. And so it's important that we actually realize this, and that pastors are willing to speak on this issue, and are willing to also realize that there are women and men in their churches that have had abortions in the past and need to accept that they sinned, confess their sin to God, receive forgiveness, but also receive healing. Because these women that go through this abortion, it's very traumatic. And just think about this. In the past, 20 years ago, a woman that went through an abortion was told that her baby was a blob of tissue, and she never saw the baby. Today, with the current methods of abortion being mostly chemical, she actually is delivering her own very tiny but perfectly formed dead baby on her own toilet, and the water in the toilet is washing away the blood, and she is seeing a perfectly formed human being created in the image of God. The trauma that these women are going to be going through in the future, and really they're going through it right now, is just it's just amazing. But those women need to know the forgiveness that comes through Jesus Christ to be set free from that. And when that happens, those women, we have seen many times, many of the people that are some of the strongest advocates in the pro-life movement have personally been involved in abortion one way or another.
Which is so important. We only have about 5 minutes left, Bryan. I really I appreciate your heart and your ministry. This is so important, and the challenge to pastor and the work we have to do. I guess one of the big things that we had some success on was the Amendment 4.
Yes.
Where would we be if that had passed? And I know it. We didn't win huge, did we? We barely we barely
You're
pushed
right.
that off the chart.
You're right. If the state of Florida, if an amendment passing only needed 50%, we would have lost. Amendment 4 received more votes, or at least a higher percentage of votes than President Donald Trump received. Received more votes than most candidates on the ballot in every county, throughout the entire state. Thankfully, we had the amendment that was passed in the past that required 60% passage. And of course, there was a lot of deceptive advertising. And I know that we spoke on this issue. I know you spoke on this issue. I know Pastor Sam Chess spoke on this issue. And I'm sure there were others on WCNO that spoke on this issue and really encouraged Christians to get out the vote and to vote no on Amendment 4. If Amendment 4 had passed, we would be an abortion destination. Our state wouldn't be paying for the travel of the women, but we already were an abortion destination prior to the 6-week ban taking effect. Women were coming in from surrounding states into the state of Florida, some coming into Orlando, where instead of going to Disney, they were going to an abortion clinic and paying an abortionist to actually kill their baby. And the Amendment 4 would have allowed abortion for any reason all the way up until the moment of birth. And so it would have been really devastating to see that. And really it would have brought God's curse upon our state, because the Bible says when innocent blood is shed, that blood cries out for vengeance.
Your phone is cutting out some. I don't know if
Okay.
I don't know if that's something.
I'm sorry.
Improve a little. No problem. We just started started having a little bit of feedback. And our last couple minutes, where are we with this big beautiful bill? Has this actually, has President Trump's bill, has it put the brakes on Planned Parenthood? And where is the president, just in your closing moments on this?
Yeah, so the big beautiful bill did defund Planned Parenthood, or would have defunded Planned Parenthood for 1 year. There are some exceptions that are in there, but only for 1 year. It has to be renewed next year. And Planned Parenthood challenged in court, and a federal judge reinstated their funding. So who knows how long that will actually take, and how much of this year will pass by before that funding is actually cut off. So, and again, we're going to need to hold our U.S. senators, our U.S. representatives, their feet to the fire, hold President Trump to the fire to continue cutting this and hope and pray that we have favorable rulings in the court so that this funding can be actually cut off, and they can be defunded, because when they receive more money, they kill more babies. They are the leading abortion provider in the state, the leading abortion provider in the nation.
So I'm seeing some reports that there are many abortion clinics that are having to shut down because of lack of funds. Is that legitimate? Is that actually happening at this point?
Well, there are some abortion clinics that are shutting down. What you're going to see probably is a conglomeration, or larger abortion clinics that are going to stay in place. And I do want to real quickly just give our website, personhoodfl.com. If anyone wants to be involved and let us know, get involved in this effort to save innocent human life.
Excellent. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us. And we are out of time. Again, Bryan Longworth, you also have a wonderful computer business, and if people wanted to, business, homes, whatever, if they were looking to find a computer store that could help them out, how would they get a hold of you in regards to your personal,
Yes, our phone number is 772-878-5978. 772-878-5978.
And that is a faster PC?
Yes.
Bryan Longworth, a great champion for life, a great friend in the kingdom, and a great partner with us here in this ministry. Bryan, we thank God for you, and may the Lord give us wisdom to see many lives saved together.
Yes.
Awesome.